I'm repping APR Physical Therapy today. We're going to talk to the coach about getting him an NIL deal. We are presented by Nightingale Wealth Solutions. We are with the head coach, Brad Pindel, and I think we need to get you an NIL deal. I mean, kind of look like the Jolly Green Giant today.
Thanks.
You know who to hook him up. Hook him up. Listen, I just caught a pass from Ty.
Awesome.
Because I figured he's throwing it to everybody.
So he likes to spread it around.
I might as well be part of. He injured my thumb.
Sorry.
I will say that. That's okay. I won't send you the bill. But great effort by the team.
Yeah,
I think you must be really thrilled on a number of fronts. Let's talk team first.
Absolutely.
To be able to get that win at a couple of times where you may not have been as confident that you were going to get that win, or did you always have the confidence that your guys could rally, come back?
I definitely felt like, I have a lot of confidence in them. I definitely don't. Going into game one, your first half, you're always going to be a little slow. They were coming into their second game, so they had some experience under them where I knew would come in first game jitters, the whole live action stuff. So I had a feeling would come out a little bit below our A game. But I just, the whole time I was just waiting for it to click. And when we came out in the second half, right from the opening drive, you could just feel like we were who we were going to be.
Now, as it relates to Ty, your quarterback, and your son, it was like DJ Khaled, another one. I mean, did you just keep going back to the well and say, let's keep throwing this thing because it seems to be working?
They're a very the team. West Bridgewater is a very physical team. They're very talented up front, and we were able to move the ball on the ground, but it was a battle. And we just felt like in the air we have some good athletes, and there were some mismatches, and we just took advantage of those late.
So a lot of short passes with your guys getting those the yards after the catch. It's almost a signature Brad Pindel play where it's kind of get your speed, matched up against somebody who's not as speedy and just get them in some open space. So it worked, which is great. Congratulations, 1-0. Now you're right up against a TVL opponent in Bellingham, not necessarily a large opponent, but still in the league, team that you're familiar with. Didn't win last week. They lost to Ashland. You've been looking at some tape. You know a little bit about them. What can you tell us about Bellingham?
They're a tough team. Very, very well coached. They're always well coached. Very technically sound. They played Woburn in week 1 and lost 7-0, and it was they really played well in that game. To be able to to hold a team to 7 points, you have to play well defensively. So I know their defense is good. And then they took Ashland to overtime, and to me, Ashland's one of the front runners in the large this year. And to take a team like that to overtime, and only give up 19 points, one touchdown in overtime. They really played well. And we have our hands full, Fred, in it.
So who impressed you a little bit on your side that you're like, hey, I didn't see that coming?
I'll say defensively, I thought in the preseason our defense played really well. But I thought our inside backers, both Jack Corrigan and Mike Z, really played well against the run. They came up, they filled, they were physical all night long. I thought our secondary played well at times. We had some mistakes. And again, give West Bridgewater credit. They did some things we didn't expect, and we fell for it. But I think those two. I thought our defensive line played really well. Again, I think defensively in the second half we were a different team, but I would definitely say my two inside linebackers definitely stepped up in the second half.
Okay, so when we finished last week, Brad said, "Oh, I didn't mention Murphy O'Malley." So let's talk about Murphy O'Malley.
I'd love to.
Just give me your thoughts on what he means to this team, what you saw from him, because that was a guy you did want to talk about last week, and you forgot.
I did. And the thing is again, I knew going into this week we'd be able to talk about him. He had 6 catches for 112 yards. For a tight end to be able to do that, he's a playmaker. He was the guy we went to anytime we needed something on third down. He's got incredible hands. He's able to use his body to gain position. He's a crutch for Ty. Ty loves going to him in key situations. So he ended up having a great game, and I didn't get him in the end zone. That'll happen later on this year. He'll have plenty of opportunities, but without him offensively, I don't know if we win that game. And then defensively, to have a kid who's 6'4", 230 pounds in your defensive line, he really held that line. And again, like I said, our defense was a different defense, and a lot of that was because of him in the second half.
That Murphy O'Malley minute was brought to you by guilt that the coach didn't mention him last week. Okay, so you finally get home with Ty, after a game like that where he sets the record for most passing yards in Westwood history. You've been around this program a long time. When you look him in the eye and say, like, wow, you did that. What was that moment like back at home?
It was really cool. But, you know, I'll be honest with you. He's very tough on himself, you know, and like, he's like, you know, he was, you know, excited about the win and all that, you know, but when we started talking about the execution of the offense as a whole, he's like, I missed throws, and he did. And, you know,
like
and he wants to get better. And, you know, and like I watched a post-game interview with Morgan, you know, and he's like, you know, we hit screens. Like, he wants to be, you know, a quarterback who can push the ball down the field as well as throw the short stuff. So, you know, he definitely didn't, you know, he played really well. I'm not taking anything away, but like, he can bring his game to another level. He knows it, and that's what he's going to do all week, is try and elevate his game.
All right, well, he's got a strong arm. I can attest to that, and so can my thumb. It's Westwood and Bellingham this week. Another game on the road. The home opener is next Friday, the 26th, but this Friday, the 19th, it is the Wolverines and the Blackhawks. Another road trip for the team that's going to be wearing white, not green, on the road. We're inside the huddle with Coach Brad Pindel. I'm Tom Lydon. Thanks for watching.